friends. Thank you for joining me today. We have Dr. Sat Bir Khalsa with us, who is assistant professor in the Harvard School of Medicine. And he was just here at the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics talking about the science of yoga and the current state of research about yoga. And I'm guessing that many of you have as many questions as I did about this. So thank you so much for being willing to spend some time talking about this. I appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here.
What are the biggest misconceptions you think that people have about yoga?
Well, I think the primary misconception really is that it is entirely a physical exercise practice that is pretty arcane and difficult to do. And that really has come about because of the media. I mean, if Time magazine wants to do an article on yoga, they're going to put a thin woman in leotards doing this impossible posture on the cover. And so that de facto becomes the impression of what yoga is to most people. And so many people in North America don't really realize that it's much deeper than that. There's a combination of different practices involved in yoga, aside in addition to the postures. And furthermore, that it's not necessary to be able to do all of those really complex, athletically difficult postures. There's a whole variety of postures to choose from, so that yoga is actually possible to have modification for different populations. So the elderly can do it, children can do it, people with disease, different kinds of diseases can do it. And furthermore, that it is this holistic approach to the body, that it incorporates a meditation component, incorporates breathing techniques. It's a holistic application, and it therefore has benefit on multiple levels, not just in terms of making you thinner or more flexible.
Mm-hmm. And it was really exciting to hear today some of the research that is now being done. I think oftentimes people think of it as a stress reduction or mindfulness kind of holistic thing, but for people who have type 2 diabetes or hypertension, there's actually now some documentation that this can make a difference.
Yes, there is, and yoga has been used as a therapeutic intervention with a good deal of success. And I would say that the kind of disorders that it works best in are those disorders which do have sort of a stress or a mood component. So it's, things like insomnia, anxiety, depression, and then lifestyle disorders that particularly have a stress component, like hypertension, high blood pressure, things like obesity, things like type 2 diabetes. And in some of these disorders, many people don't realize how much of a stress component there really is contributing to those particular types of disorders.
So, for example, with type 2 diabetes, we know it's a sedentary lifestyle and excess body fat. And it seems as though there could almost be two angles that yoga would help, both by assisting with the mindfulness approach, maybe leading people to make healthier eating choices, and then also some more direct effects through changes in the body directly. Is that right?
Yeah, and I would say not just two, I would say multiple. And probably multiple to the degree we don't even know how many there are, but there are certainly multiple avenues. So, as you mentioned, the meditative, contemplative component, where people inculcate this enhanced mind-body awareness, mindfulness, a sense of connection to their body, and a deeper experience of their body, feeling their body more. And that helps with these kinds of disorders. So, for example, in terms of healthy eating, people who develop more of a mind-body awareness will now eat those 5 donuts and say, I feel awful. 6 months ago when I was not doing this, I was just oblivious. I'd just eat the 6 donuts and move on. But now I'm aware of my body. Boy, I'm not going to do that again. That doesn't feel right. And so that actually helps and sustains, proper dietary and physical exercise habits. But there's also direct effects of the postures themselves. People start to feel in their bodies, get more comfortable in their bodies, they become more flexible. There is some benefit to the physical aspect of actually burning some calories, but also becoming more flexible and more comfortable in your body. And then the breathing techniques are very powerful. That they can really induce a sense of reduction of arousal. And that reduction of arousal and direct role of stress combats the actual drive to eating. I mean, many people eat because they're feeling depressed or anxious, and so it's comfort food. It's a whole tub of ice cream, you know, because they've had a hard day at work. And so the other components of yoga practice that help you cope with stress will reduce that. And there's no longer this need to do it because they're not experiencing the same reaction to the same environmental circumstances. People, with yoga practice, you start to become more resilient. Your stress coping ability improves. And you can tolerate the stress in your life more effectively than you did before you started practicing.
So the same stressors are there, but your response to them changes.
There are external stressors, and there's also internal stressors. I mean, things that we expect of ourselves.
Sure.
We can learn through these practices to actually be able to cope with those more effectively. In fact, you can even take on more stress and cope with it effectively, as long as you're doing these practices that allow you to cope with the stress.